Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this vlog 7 on motivation. Motivation is defined in many different ways, but today I'm introducing it to you as a strategy for your PhD completion. Now, I know many of you may be sitting in a bit of a dark place at the moment, frightened, concerned, a bit worried, a bit stressed. My job is to take you from that emotional site and move you to the outcome, the completion of your doctorate. But we're going to start with a quote in the vlog this week. It always seems impossible until it's done. Now, that quotation didn't come from a US-based book on how to finish a PhD. That quotation came from Nelson Mandela. So if he can change a nation, you can submit a doctorate. So this session today is geared for all of our candidates, whether you've just started, hi to our guys and gals that have just started, and you're starting to get a little bit worried. Am I working fast enough? Am I working in the right way? Good on you for being concerned. As I've always said, if you're going to finish a PhD in 3 years, the first year is the determinant of that. So good on you for caring. For the guys and gals in the middle of their candidature, sort of a bit of a steer's wheel moment, stuck in the middle with you, why am I doing this? Oh no, what's happening? And of course for the guys and gals in their final year, it's all in front of you. And I'm aware every morning you can wake up and feel a bit sick in the stomach, you can feel a bit overwhelmed about how you're going to get to your outcome. Well, today is going to help all of you. In fact, not only for your doctorate, this is crucial career planning. It's a big one. So today really matters, and I'm going to be relatively dispassionate today, because motivation, particularly from pop psychology, has become a little bit too Dr. Phil for my liking. So what I'm going to do for you is provide a simple and structured model to take you from where you are right now to that completed doctorate. This model is going to provide you with mechanisms to manage your feelings, manage your emotions, and focus on the outcome. If there is a characteristic, I think, of the 2010s and the workplace in the 2010s, it's the continual and systematic confusion of the urgent and the important. And digitisation has only increased that confusion. But just remember, guys, other people's urgent stuff is not your important stuff. So I want you focused on what is important for you and your life. So let's get on with it. But first I need to do my glorious shout outs to some amazing people who actually have made me cry. I got emails last Friday. I was like, oh. I'd had a long Thursday night doing some work, and I arrived at work on Friday and these lovely messages were waiting for me. So thank you so much to lovely Selim, Fiona, Sandeep and Roweda, my love. That was a beautiful message. I've kept that and will keep that for the rest of my life. So thank you so much for sending it. You're a star. And also to the crew that Queen Karen and her short blonde friend had that PD session last week about how to get you to the submission. Karen handled all the regs and all the hard, heavy lifting to get you to completion. And I told you the truth about examination, but we had a wonderful group of people. You were just fantastic, enlivening, passionate, really interesting, really intelligent. So thank you so much for coming. You were incredibly motivated. Let's see if we can share that with the rest of the crew. So when I did educational psychology, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, motivation was split into two: extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. Now, extrinsic motivation was the bad motivation, doing something for external credit, like you're only doing something to get a degree or get money or get a job. Ooh, bad. Whatever. Intrinsic motivation was seen to be, in ed psychology, the best motivation. Internal desire without any need for a benefit or a payoff. And then motivation was split between natural and rational motivation and content and process. So that's how we studied it in those days. Now, these definitions were incredibly simplistic, and I realised that even at the time, because it was sort of a bit too involved for me in an emotional state. It was about feelings, and feelings were over-determining outcome. But motivation really is an important theoretical concept, It's a theoretical proxy in so many ways that explains behaviour, and it's used in incredibly diverse ways, from the high humanities right the way through to the hard sciences. And I really love it because motivation is really interesting for researchers, because basically it helps us try and understand why people do weird things. So why do people most of the time do stuff that actually hurts their own best interests? Why Kim Kardashian? This stuff is brilliant. So motivation tries to help us understand this. And so what's happened is motivation has become a bit of an open and frequently pointless word to explain why people do stuff, particularly stuff that doesn't work in their own best interest. So why do people eat too much? Why do people not exercise? Why do people take crystal meth? Yeah, so you're getting the story. It's become this sort of catch-all theory, which explains the truly bizarre way that it's now being used in daily life. So I'm not motivated, I'm lacking motivated, I'm just not motivated. And so what is this motivation thing? It's like motivation is this guy in the corner and he's saying you're not feeling very good. So it's all over there. Motivation is telling us about what we need to be doing with our daily life. Really? So for me, motivation, when it's used in this way, is really an excuse that stops you making concrete decisions in your life. So I'm creating a motivational strategy for you today that is very different. Even if you don't feel like working on your thesis, I'm going to provide you with a structure that ensures you do work on your thesis even when you're not really feeling too great. You're not emotionally engaged with it. We're disconnecting emotion from outcome. So to start off, before we start to disengage emotion, I want to get right in the middle of an emotion. I want us to sit in emotion for a while. And I want you to tell me about a memory. It's a very particular type of memory. This memory is the pivot point, a moment in your life where you knew that your life was going to change. And the reason we're going to sit in the emotion of this moment is because so many of the decisions, the feelings, the excuses that you make in your daily life have often come from that moment. And frequently they involve parents or friends or spouses. But they're weird moments because you almost see your life in slow motion. You know that at this point, my life is changing. In real time, you realise your life is changing. So take a breath and think about a pivotal moment in your life, or if you like, a life moment that pivoted you. Think about that. Now, I'll tell you mine if you haven't been able to quite get to yours yet, and mostly you know that moment, it comes straight away. If you're struggling a little bit to find that pivotal emotional moment, I'll tell you my vibe and it might help you. This memory is so fresh for me that it plays in my head every single day. So I just turned 18 years of age. I'd enrolled at the University of Western Australia, so posh. The Brabazons, needless to say, weren't very posh, and we're still not very posh. While I was going to this posh university though, my parents were living in this glorious, derelict, leasehold land fringe settlement called Burns Beach. Most of the residents, almost all of the residents, were on state support, and almost all of them were over 60 years of age, and I was living in this wonderful place. It was like Byron Bay, but without the money, the yoga, or the marijuana. Yeah. So the dissonance between the posh university and this slack but really caring home environment was starting to cause me some problems. I was doing well at university, but I didn't know why I was doing well at university. I had no context at all. And in the first month I was at UWA, my wonderful professor of history, Professor Richard Bosworth, said to me, "Tara, you've got a great gift in this area. You should think about doing a master's or a PhD in history." Now, I'd never heard of a master's or a PhD, and I thought, oh, that sounds nice. I wonder what that is. So that's great. But at this point of my life, I could have just kept going pretty well and lived a relatively ordinary life. Maybe done a posh research master's in history at UWA, like thousands of women had done before, and then go into a nice job in the public service or in local government, areas in which I'm still very interested. But instead, something happened to me. My mother said something to me in 25 seconds that changed the entire course, direction and vibe of my life. Doris is still alive, bless her, a sprightly 85 years of age, and she never had a chance to finish high school. She certainly never had a chance to go to university, and one day she came into my room in Burns Beach and she had her say. She came in and she said, "Tara, you are going to have to work harder than anybody else in the world. Every time you watch television or you take a nap, somebody in the United States, Mexico, Japan or Indonesia is not taking a break. They're still working. If you want to be successful, you're going to have to outwork them. Always remember, when you take a break, they aren't taking a break. You are competing with the world." Microphone drop. Ouch. It was like a Dalek. In came Doris and then she left. I was 18 in a small, bumbling little beach community in the most isolated capital city in the world. And yet my mother was talking about competing with the entire world, thinking outward, not focusing on the day-to-day stuff. So my attitude to life, everything about my life transformed at that moment. I knew it was going to be hard work, I knew it was going to be sacrifice, but I was going to get there. So Doris opened a door and I walked through it. So that's my stuff. Let's talk about you and your life. Was there one moment that was transformative for good or for ill that framed all your subsequent decisions in life? You're going to learn a lot, we all are really, going to learn a lot about your motivations, your desires, your decisions in life from that moment. So feel free to pause the video now if you like and just write a couple of notes down or just log it and write that narrative out at the conclusion of this video. Now, the next key question's a hard one. So we've got into that emotional state, right? My next question for you is, does that moment still serve you? Many guys and gals, when I ask this question, they often return to a moment of loss or death or abuse. So that's a moment of their life where a series of doors closed rather than open. And does that moment still serve you? You see, that's the problem, guys. When motivation is tethered to these sort of really powerful feelings and emotions and narratives, it becomes a variable and it becomes really a bit out of control. You start to live your life pretty high volume, you know. Your thesis is tethered to how you're feeling on a particular day. And those feelings may push you for a month or maybe two, but those feelings won't get you to a completion. So what I'm now doing for you is summoning a strategy that transcends emotions, feelings, notions of extrinsic or intrinsic motivation, and disconnects emotion from outcome. So the next question I'm going to ask you, again, ask you to park the emotion for a while, and I want a concrete and a clear answer. And the question is, why am I doing this PhD? And I want clear, precise answers to that question. And again, feel free to pause the video here if you like. But have those reasons changed through your candidature? It's very, very common if they have. It's also very common that if you're near the end of the PhD, the motivation is, I just want to get the damn thing finished. So you've got a bit of disgust there, you've got a bit of despair there, and again, extreme emotions, they may get you through the final month, and disgust can be pretty powerful, but what I'm asking today is that we turn the emotion down and we think of different ways of doing this. So we need a structure, we need a strategy, we need a plan. And here is one for your consideration. This strategy comes from Alastair Campbell and his book Winners that has just been published, Winners. I have a very complicated relationship with Alastair Campbell. There's no doubt that he returned the Labour Party to the UK government after the Thatcher and Major years, no doubt. He rejuvenated the Labour Party, he made it modern, he made them electable. He is one of the great, on the planet, master strategists. but his pursuit of power, success and winning has a ruthlessness that often makes me quite uncomfortable. And I do believe that he damaged the Labor Party in the long term for short to medium term success. So for our popular cultural tragics who are watching this vodcast, I love you all. You know this to be true. Yes, Malcolm Tucker from The Thick of It, played by Peter Capaldi, was actually based on Alastair Campbell, so you get a sense of the swearing, the aggro, the ruthless commitment to the party and the goal from The Thick of It, yeah? So enough of politics, that's the context. This man is an expert in propulsive, transformative strategy, which he presented in the book Winners, which I do recommend to you. So let's talk about this system and how you can apply it now. Alastair Campbell configured a 3-stage progress and process to success. 3 stages. O-S-T. O-S-T. Objective, strategy, tactic. He recommended a clarity of thinking and to get the emotion out. So write down your objectives, your strategy, your tactics, check and recheck them frequently, refresh as required. So let's get into it. What are they? OST. The first one is objective. An objective is a big and expansive, powerful goal. If you often think about it, it's like a slogan. It's something that you'd put on a t-shirt. So objectives include for you guys, I will submit my PhD in 3 years. I will write and publish 3 articles this year. I will improve my teaching in the next 3 months by learning 4 new software applications, or I will be in a full-time academic post in 6 months. These objectives have particular characteristics that you may have picked up. They construct an endpoint that requires development to get there. They can also be broader and expansive goals. So for example, my objective for the Office of Graduate Research is excellence with social justice. Excellence with social justice. So this means that my objective is to create the best graduate program on the planet, as we assess it by completion rates, quality of teaching and learning, the professional development program that we make available for you, and I particularly want an international and an outward inflection for you. But I want to also make sure that everything we do is tempered by social justice. We are a radical office. We believe in excellence and social justice, excellence through social justice through excellence. Okay, so think about your objective. It may be that definitive one with a deadline. It may be an overarching life goal, a slogan. Now write them down. Write them down. Alastair Campbell's objective, for example, was to get the Labor Party back into office. So once you've written that objective down in a notebook, return to it once a week and map your progress against it. Now, you need to share this objective. You need to make it public. Share it with your family, your friends, get it on a notebook, put it on the fridge, put it on your phone, put it in your office, make a big poster of it. Talk about it with people. So people say, how's that objective going? And they want to hear your answer. Have powerful reasons to accomplish your objective. So once we have the objective, the next letter was S. So we have to construct a strategy to get you there. Campbell's strategy was to modernise the British Labor Party through leadership, organisation and modes of communication. Strategies are, to quote Campbell, quote, big, bold and consistent, end of quote. Steve Jobs' strategy for Apple was simplicity. Whatever they did, it was simple. My strategy for the office is modernisation, digitisation, intellectual generosity. Strategies have to be ambitious, but they also have to recognise the finite nature of resources. So time, space, and other modes like money, for example. So the limitations that are available for you. So we still achieve that objective, but we have the strategies in place. So your strategies in your doctorate may be construct intense research blocks for your reading and for your writing. Or a strategy for you could be an overt separation of my thesis time and my family and friends time. That's a strategy. Strategies, as you can see here, yes, they are sort of planning. We're used to the phrase strategic plan. They have that planning element, but in this model, strategies are more about making decisions. The decisions that you make. You need a strategy to get started, to take that first step, and then take another. You've also got to give yourself permission to fail. The characteristic of successful people on the planet is they fail a lot. So you've got to be resilient, get yourself back up again, but also, this is the bit people forget to tell you, like, learn why you failed. Have a good sense about what went wrong so it doesn't happen again. Fall once, learn. Don't fall in the same way again. The final element in Campbell's OST is tactic. Tactics manage the day-to-day events. They manage specific tasks. So these tactics can also become a habit. We talked about a habit stack in an earlier vlog, and I think it was Aristotle, who was the Obi-Wan Kenobi of the ancient Greek world, who said, "We are repeatedly what we do. Excellence then is not an act, it's a habit." End of quote. Love that. So at its most basic, strategies are the plans and the decisions you make before the event. Tactics are what you do during the event, so part of the day-to-day play of your life. So tactics occur while you're working towards the objective. Tactics are active. So strategy, decision or plan, tactics, the activities that get you there. Right, so deciding to turn off your mobile phone while you're doing reading or writing for your PhD is a tactic. Separating your work time from your leisure time is a strategy. Both are aligned with the objective to finish a PhD in 3 years. Got it? Yeah. So OST is a crisp and a really clean way to break down a big life goal, to create, like a doctorate, and configure concrete hows and whys to get you there. So have a go. OST may be the breakthrough you need in your career or in your PhD to get you home. So why this clarity matters, I think, is it enables you to cut away the irrelevant and the trivial so that you stop confusing important with urgent. And I understand all of us have responsibilities, we have families, we've got to make money, and I will never underestimate the importance of that. But it is important to have the objectives in place. So when you're perhaps doing stuff you have to do, you can do them with care and dignity and speed, knowing that you also have those clear objectives in place and a strategy for how to get there. So I wanted to finish off today with a list of characteristics that Campbell found in the winners that he studied in his book. So you may find these aspirational, you may disconnect from them, but it's important to think about what does winning, what does success look like for you. So Campbell's winners held vision and focus. Now why that matters is anyone has a vision, everybody has a vision these days, but the winners actually granularize that vision. They see it with focus. They know what it's going to look and taste like. They inspire and have an outstanding team around them that are trustworthy and loyal. Think Steve Jobs, think Anna Wintour. Yeah, it's a show, not tell leadership style. They don't talk the game, they play the game. They get in there. They're prepared, they've done their homework, they've got objectives, strategies and tactics in place. They visualize success. They know what success looks like. They're bold, they're risk takers, they're innovators. And I love this one. They ask the right questions. How brilliant is that? They ask the right questions. And also when something goes wrong, they're honest, they admit what has happened, and they're never cowardly. They never blame somebody else. The buck stops with them. Love that. They're also resilient and they work hard. They maintain a strong work ethic. They build concentration. They build focus like it is a muscle. So no doubt about it, guys, life is tough. Yeah, life is really tough. It's even harder when you're putting a PhD into an already full life. But a PhD is a privilege. It is a gift. It is a moment of your life when you can transcend your past and build a bridge to your future. Guys, when I was that 18-year-old girl in Burns Beach, I had a catalogue, I had a laundry list of excuses about why I wouldn't make it in life. And I had nothing going for me, except that I was clever. And if you're clever without a context, it can lead to despair. So I decided to live a life without excuses. I've never blamed, ever, anybody else for anything that's gone wrong in my life. If I'm not successful, the buck stops with me. And in my late teens and early 20s, working in and around universities, I would hear all sorts of reasons and excuses not to hire women and not to promote women. And you occasionally still hear them today. But these excuses were like, oh, look, women will just go and get pregnant. They won't travel. Women won't work internationally. Women are underqualified. Women just can't work the long days because of family commitments. Women, they're good teachers but not really good researchers. Women, great team players, just not very good leaders. Women can't run budgets. Right. There are more of them. We could keep going. But from this point on, I started to visualise a life without excuses. So I would do what it would take to be successful. So if it was about qualifications, I would have more qualifications than anybody. If it was about international experience, I would pick up my life and work anywhere in the world tomorrow. If it was about leadership, I would take every single leadership opportunity that came my way, and I would learn, and I would think, and I would ask questions, and I would perform to the best of my ability and then transcend myself. And then I would always make sure that I left a bridge behind me so it was easier for the person who followed. Yeah. Now, life hasn't been easy, but it's been absolutely fantastic. I've seen the world. I've met the best people I could ever hope to meet. Yes, I've seen the darkness and decay and horribleness of universities, but I've also seen the light and the joy and the passion. I've lived every single day that if I die tomorrow morning, there are no regrets. I will die tomorrow with a smile on my face going, it's been brilliant, come on. So you decide today, what is important to you? In 20 years' time, what will your story be? In 20 years' time, what will your story be? And what objectives, strategies and tactics are you going to need to get there? Remember, you are brilliant. You are gifted. There's a great group of people around you who care for you, who support you, and know how fantastic your doctorate is going to be. Make sure you have a wonderful week, and as always, I wish you love, light, and peace. Tea out.